It's too noisy. I'm taking the baby to the mountains.
Suddenly, my husband got angry and forcefully picked up our 3-month-old baby who was crying at night. He shoved the baby into the car trunk and drove away. In shock and fear, I hurriedly chased after him in a taxi. When his car stopped on a mountain road, I rushed over and rescued the baby. However, for some reason, it was me who got arrested by the police who arrived at the scene.
My wife was trying to abandon the baby.
Because of my husband's claim, my fate changed drastically from that day. My name is Lillian. I married my husband Leonardo, who was my colleague at work, 2 years ago when I was 26. The following year, I got pregnant, but due to severe morning sickness, I quit my job and became a housewife at Leonardo's suggestion. He was very attentive, cooking meals and taking the initiative in cleaning and laundry. I'm so glad I married Leonardo. I'm sure we can build a happy family together, I thought, believing in a future full of smiles. As my morning sickness gradually subsided, I gave birth to our daughter, Sarah. However, Leonardo, who had been kind until then, became increasingly irritable after Sarah was born.
Hey, Lillian! Make Sarah quiet quickly.
I've fed her milk and changed her diaper, but what's wrong? You're a good girl. No matter how much I tried to soothe Sarah, she wouldn't stop crying. Leonardo's expression grew harsher, and he began slamming his palm on the table.
Shut up. You're the mother. Can't you calm the baby down?
It's my first baby. I don't know what to do either.
I never thought a child would be such a troublesome creature.
Leonardo's harsh words continued, and he began to take out his frustration on nearby objects whenever the baby cried. Sometimes, he even broke the plates on the table. As I cleaned up the glass shards, I realized I needed to find an opportunity to talk with Leonardo. However, perhaps because he disliked having a child at home, he started coming home later and later. Sarah's night crying continued, and when she was 3 months old, an incident occurred. Exhausted from the unfamiliar task of childcare, I took my eyes off Sarah for just a moment. Sarah! Watch out! To my horror, Sarah spilled coffee that was on the low table and suffered a minor burn on her leg. Fortunately, the doctor at the hospital said,
"It will take time, but it will heal with medication,"
which relieved my tension. However, the burned area was red, and I was filled with guilt. Out of a sense of responsibility, I reported this to Leonardo when he came home. After lifting the baby's leg and examining it closely, Leonardo showed a calm expression.
It's nothing serious. You must have been tired, Lillian.
I was surprised by his kind words, as I had expected to be scolded, and could only nod in agreement.
Childcare is tough. I'm glad it wasn't serious. By the way, did you get burned, Lillian?
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
I see, that's good. Oh, I forgot to call a client. I'll make the call now.
With that, Leonardo went into his room and started talking about some contract in his business voice. Feeling relieved after talking with him, I prepared dinner, and we had a pleasant meal together. Leonardo must be having a hard time at work too. I need to take good care of Sarah and not trouble him. Seeing Leonardo smile for the first time in a while, I felt my own spirits lift. Although he sometimes got irritated by the night crying, it was probably because he was tired from work. Despite everything, I felt a deep affection for Leonardo, who remained calm and considerate during emergencies. Perhaps sensing my warm feelings, Sarah fell asleep soundly after I fed her milk and changed her diaper. Today was exhausting with so many things happening. Feeling a bit tired from the rushed hospital visit earlier in the day, I yawned widely and soon fell asleep. However, it wasn't so easy to welcome the morning, and Sarah started crying again that night. Surprisingly, it was Leonardo who got up before me. Oh, is Leonardo going to soothe her? That's unusual. But then, Leonardo did something unexpected. He quickly went to the crib, grabbed Sarah's leg, and hung her upside down. Moreover, he was holding the leg that had been burned. Stop! Please let go of her! I hurriedly got up and rushed to Leonardo. It was as if he was a different person from the daytime. I tried to take Sarah back, but Leonardo dodged me and started walking towards the front door with Sarah in his arms. Leonardo said,
This baby's crying is annoying. I'm going to dump her in the mountains because she's too noisy.
No way, you must be joking. Wait a minute. As I chased after him, he ran off with a red face and shoved the 3-month-old crying baby into the trunk of the car. He locked the car door and drove off in no time. Feeling like I was in a nightmare, I grabbed the spare key and went outside to rescue Sarah from the trunk. Luckily, a taxi was parked near the house. Please follow the blue car that just passed by. Praying for Sarah's safety, I chased Leonardo in the taxi. After a while, Leonardo's car stopped in the mountains. I saw him get out of the driver's seat in the darkness. Thank you. I handed the driver the fare and jumped out of the taxi, rushing towards Leonardo's car. Sarah! Are you okay? When I opened the trunk with the spare key, Sarah, wrapped in a blanket, was crying loudly but seemed healthy. I gently picked her up and felt relieved. However, the next moment, I was suddenly illuminated by a bright light. Huh? What? Looking closely, I saw a police vehicle parked there, and Leonardo was also nearby. Then, a police officer got out of the vehicle and approached me.
You are under arrest.
Wait a minute. Why are you coming to me?
Because you are the perpetrator.
I was taken aback by the suddenness of it all. Before I knew what was happening, they took the baby from me and handed her to Leonardo.
My wife never takes care of the baby and even hits her. It's been a problem.
Wait, what are you saying?
Look, she's always so temperamental. She's always angry. And look at the baby's leg. She even burned her.
Leonardo showed the police officer the red part of Sarah's leg.
And to top it off, she shoved the baby into the car trunk in the middle of the night and drove her to the mountains. She must have been planning something terrible.
Stop making things up! Fearing what might happen if I left Sarah with Leonardo, I desperately pleaded my innocence and tried to take Sarah back from him. I strongly insisted that I had followed Leonardo in a taxi because he had taken Sarah. However, when I turned around, the vehicle I had come in was nowhere to be seen, and no one believed my story. The more I talked, the more suspicious the police became of me. Eventually, they said,
We'll hear your story at the police station.
And I was put into the police vehicle. Why is this happening? Even then, I kept expressing my concern that Leonardo might put Sarah in danger, but my words were ignored. I began to suspect the police's timely arrival. Leonardo was the one who reported this, right? You don't have to hide it. I know. I tried to probe, but the officers exchanged glances and only replied,
We can't tell you that.
Sensing something unusual, I talked about how Leonardo often got irritated when the baby cried at night.
I don't know what Leonardo told you, but I haven't done anything wrong. I just followed him in a taxi.
They asked for details to verify my story, like the characteristics of the car I had ridden in. But it was just a regular taxi, and I didn't remember the company name. Strangely, the police claimed they hadn't passed any taxis on their way to arrest me.
What? That can't be true. So, does that mean?
At that moment, I noticed a strange feeling. However, thinking it was just my imagination and that it wouldn't help to mention it, I kept quiet. After about 2 hours of questioning, I was released due to insufficient evidence. When I got home, Sarah was sleeping in her crib.
Sarah, I'm so glad you're safe.
I was relieved to see that the burn on her leg, which Leonardo had grabbed, hadn't worsened. Then, I heard Leonardo's voice coming from the study. Peeking through the door, I saw that he was talking to someone, even though it was the middle of the night. His tone seemed oddly cheerful, so I decided not to interrupt and held my breath. After a while, Leonardo came out of the room and was startled to see me taking care of Sarah.
When did you get back?
Just now. Thanks to you, I was questioned by the police.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean any harm.
He scratched his head awkwardly and avoided eye contact.
Why did you lie like that? Explain yourself.
When I heard about the burn, I thought maybe Lillian had hurt the baby out of stress from childcare.
Given that I had been somewhat absent-minded lately, it wasn't unreasonable for him to think that. However, Leonardo seemed uneasy and was clearly hiding something. Leonardo then asked in detail about what I had said during the questioning. He's definitely suspicious. But for now, I'll just say something harmless. So, I told him it was just a trivial marital spat, and he looked somewhat relieved.
I was surprised the police arrived so quickly.
Me too. Apparently, someone living near the mountain went missing, and they were searching for them.
Not being sure if Leonardo had reported it, I lied to avoid further questioning. He seemed reassured and said,
Oh, I see.
before crawling into bed and falling asleep. Enjoy your sleep while you can. I'm going to uncover all your misdeeds. After watching Leonardo snore with a foolish expression, I began investigating his phone to understand his strange behavior. I found a history of frequent contact with a certain person. It might be a business partner, but I'll note it down just in case. Additionally, I found numerous receipts in his work bag, all issued by the same place. I'm getting closer to identifying the source of my unease. Determined to uncover the truth myself, I set a trap on Leonardo's phone. The next day, after sending Leonardo off as usual, I consulted a trusted person living nearby. She immediately agreed to help, which reassured me. After that, I continued to interact with Leonardo as if nothing had happened. I'm starting to see Leonardo's actions more clearly. Just a little more, and I'll have the decisive evidence. Just then, I received a call from Leonardo saying he had to work late unexpectedly. Seizing the opportunity, I took action and witnessed an unbelievable scene. Even after Leonardo returned home, I kept a close watch on him. Eventually, I understood why I had been arrested and Leonardo's true intentions, which made my anger boil over.
I'll make sure those who tried to harm Sarah for their own gain pay dearly.
With a burning determination in my heart, I spent the day hiding my true feelings. And then, the next night, Sarah started crying as usual. I got up immediately to soothe her, but when I couldn't calm her down, Leonardo came out of the bedroom with a frown.
Noisy! Noisy! Noisy!
Don't shout like that.
If you have time to argue, take her outside and calm her down.
Before Leonardo could make more noise, I quickly went outside with Sarah.
Wow, it's hot.
It had been a scorching day, so even at night, it was hot, and sweat was pouring down my face. Unable to go back inside, I just held the crying baby and tried to soothe her. Then, once again, a police car arrived.
Oh.
Leonardo came out of the house with a look of exasperation. According to the police, they had received an anonymous report that someone was neglecting a baby.
I'm really sorry for the trouble. I've told my wife many times, but it seems she was violent towards our baby again when I wasn't looking.
As Leonardo said this, he quickly took Sarah from my arms. Just like when I was taken to the police station, Leonardo started saying things that I had no memory of.
Did Lillian hurt you again? Poor thing, crying so much.
Despite having yelled at Sarah and kicked us out, Leonardo suddenly started acting like a doting father in front of the police. But in the next moment, Leonardo's facade was shattered. What are you talking about? That's not Sarah.
What? What is this?
What Leonardo was holding was a doll wrapped in a baby blanket, looking just like a real baby.
I heard crying, so I thought it was real. What on earth is going on?
I showed the surprised Leonardo a voice recorder. From it, the sound of a baby crying echoed.
Damn it! You tricked me! Where did you take the baby? Did you really abandon her?
Unlike you, I would never do such a thing. Our Sarah is with Caroline.
Caroline, your relative?
Leonardo didn't know, but a month ago, my cousin Caroline had moved near our house. I had planned to tell Leonardo about it at the right time, but various things had happened, and I couldn't. Caroline and I were close in age and had been like friends since childhood, always helping each other in times of need. Caroline is very trustworthy, and I asked her to help this time. Right after Leonardo kicked us out, I contacted her. She said she had a good idea and swapped Sarah with the doll. I then recorded Sarah's crying to make the doll seem more real. Actually, it was really tough taking care of a 3-month-old baby, so Caroline has been helping me out with various things.
What do you mean by various things? And what's this about?
I took out my smartphone from my pocket and played a video of him meeting with his mistress.
When did you? How did you?
On the day Leonardo said he was working late, I had installed a GPS app on his phone and had Caroline drive me to secretly follow him. But I never imagined you were having an affair with a taxi driver.
What proof do you have?
I found numerous messages from your phone to her, and a bunch of taxi company receipts. If you still want to make excuses, I can call her right now.
Stop it! Contacting her outside of work would be a nuisance.
Though he tried to say something plausible, Leonardo was already admitting his guilt by starting to panic. He just mumbled, unable to say anything coherent. Without giving him a chance, I took the initiative.
On the day I was arrested by the police, I know you planned to take Sarah to the mountains.
Leonardo feigned ignorance, insisting he didn't know, so I took out my phone. After I was released and returned home, I had overheard him talking to someone on the phone and quickly recorded it. When I pressed play, Leonardo's voice came through.
I'm glad you're a taxi driver. The police think Lillian took the baby to the mountains. Everything is going according to plan.
In this conversation between Leonardo and his mistress, it became clear that when he saw Sarah's burn, he saw it as an opportunity to frame me. He had lied about calling a client and reported it to his mistress.
You used your business voice to deceive me. You're really cunning.
And that day, as soon as the baby started crying at night, Leonardo took the baby out. When I stepped outside, a taxi conveniently stopped near our house.
You deliberately had your lover wait in front of our house so I could follow you immediately, didn't you?
Looking back, Leonardo's behavior of suddenly getting out of the car in the middle of the mountain road was unnatural. Surely, he did that on purpose to give me a chance to rescue Sarah from the trunk. It must have been a trap to make the police think I had put Sarah in the car trunk.
I fell right into your plan. You were the one who called the police that day, weren't you?
Leonardo stammered.
No,
Not willing to admit his guilt, I immediately played the recorded audio again.
This is from yesterday when you called your lover after you thought I was asleep.
In the recording, Leonardo said,
tomorrow, when the baby starts crying at night, you pretend to be a neighbor and call the police. That will send her to jail.
He chuckled sinisterly.
You said, last time, Lillian was released quickly, but she's definitely on the watch list now. You really are cunning.
Leonardo's face twisted as if he had tasted something bitter after hearing the audio.
It's terrible that you even told your lover I regularly put our child in danger.
Incidentally, the voice recorder also captured Leonardo's plan to divorce me and take custody of Sarah after I was arrested. He even planned to extort a large amount of child support and use the money to travel abroad with his lover. Leonardo tried to dismiss it.
I was just joking.
You're really stubborn. Why don't you just admit your mistakes? Right, everyone? What do you think of him?
Leonardo, realizing he was surrounded by a crowd of onlookers, exclaimed,
Everyone! Oh!
He had been so focused on defending himself that he hadn't noticed the crowd gathering around him. Yet, he still continued to deny.
I was set up.
At that point, I realized there was no need to show any more sympathy.
Please investigate the person who reported today. That person is probably Leonardo's lover, and she knows a lot too.
When I said this and turned to the police, Leonardo suddenly started sweating profusely.
This is just a marital quarrel. Come on, Lillian, calm down. Every man cheats at least once, right?
I found out it's not just once. You have no escape.
Leonardo pleaded.
I'm sorry. I'll never look at another woman again. Please forgive me.
Desperately apologizing and pretending to be remorseful, Leonardo's act was tiresome. But I faced him one last time.
Cheating is secondary. I'm angry because you tried to take Sarah away.
Leonardo replied.
I apologize for that too. So please.
I grew increasingly frustrated with Leonardo, who still thought he could make excuses, but there was something I had to ask.
What were you planning to do after taking Sarah from me? Both you and your lover have jobs, right?
I thought maybe my mom could take care of her.
Even if it's a lie, I wanted you to say you didn't want to let go of Sarah. You're utterly despicable.
As I glared at him and spat out my words, Leonardo's face turned pale, and he covered his mouth with his hand, as if he had accidentally let slip his true feelings. He stammered.
No,
Why didn't your lover's taxi and the police car pass each other?
I had her take a back road that most people don't know about.
So it was all calculated.
If they had taken the normal route, the cars would have passed each other. But they didn't, because the driver took a different route to hide the fact that I had come to the mountains by taxi. This made me suspect that the driver might also be an accomplice. The unease I felt and the thoughts that crossed my mind as I was being taken away by the police were exactly about this.
I'm not hiding anything anymore. Believe me.
Leonardo, thinking that telling the truth might somehow save him, looked up at me with pleading eyes. When I stared into his eyes, he asked hopefully,
Will you forgive me?
No. I will never forgive you for putting our precious child in danger for your own selfish desires. Reflect deeply on your actions.
Ah, this is the worst.
After shouting that, Leonardo collapsed to his knees. The police, who had come in response to the report, were unable to intervene as I kept presenting evidence against Leonardo. They were probably also surprised by my demeanor.
I don't want to see you anymore, so I'll take the alimony and child support in a lump sum from the division of property.
If you do that, what will happen to me?
I don't know. Discuss it with the police. Sorry to keep you waiting. Please take him away.
At my request, the police officers took Leonardo away, holding him by both arms. Later, the driving records of the taxi driven by his lover became undeniable evidence, and they reluctantly admitted their guilt. The two of them were immediately fired from their jobs. Additionally, Leonardo and I finalized our divorce, sold the house, and used the money to pay $20,000 in alimony and $100,000 in child support in a lump sum. I also demanded $15,000 in alimony from his lover, which she agreed to pay. Meanwhile, Sarah and I moved in with Caroline, who lived nearby. Caroline, who worked from home and was lonely living alone, welcomed us warmly. She also introduced me to a job I could do from home. From now on, I will move forward positively for the bright future of me and Sarah.
How did you like this story? Please subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.